All right, Gabe Henderson here alongside Ben Leber. And Ben, we are going to break down some of the top quarterback draft prospects in the 2021 draft. And first and foremost, I'm excited to see you, man.
I know, it's been a long time. I just see you through the TV and social media when I watch some of these segments, and I miss your smiling face. I know.
But here we are. We have some quarterbacks we know. I'll write this down right now. Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, number 2 overall pick. From there, it is, hey, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. We don't know, but we got to talk about Mac Jones.
Mac Jones wants it all. Long ball, man there, got him. Mechie, touchdown. Pump fake, deep ball, man there, got him on the fly. 78 yards for the score. Gonna go deep, got a man, and got it. Complete.
National championship winner this past year, won pretty much every single quarterback award in college football. Does he fit, and what makes him so special?
Can I stop you there and say I don't think it's a guarantee that Zach Wilson goes number 2? Now I'm going to put it on record right now that I don't think that he should be the number 2 pick overall. I think that's the narrative everybody's going with, and that's the momentum that everybody wants to go with. But personally, I think a guy like Mac Jones or Justin Fields should be the number 2 overall pick. And the reason why I say that is I think Mac Jones, if you're an offensive coordinator that really wants a true quarterback first, a guy that is going to do everything he can to throw the ball first, that's part of it because he's limited a little bit athletically, but he can make every throw. He's super cerebral in the things that he does. Now, when you look at like the Minnesota Vikings and what they do, his footwork, his hip movement, when he's doing play action pass, even out of shotgun, even if they've got a pistol back, it doesn't matter. When he has to turn his back to the defense and flip his eyes and his hips back around, his footwork's awesome. And he gets the ball out. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, look at the receivers he had, look at the weaponry he had, even look at the running back he had. All very true. But if you watch the games that he plays, he throws a lot of those guys open, and he trusts that he's going to take those guys and they're going to make a play. So he's doing what a quarterback should do and putting his players in the best position to go out and make those plays.
4,500 passing yards this past year, so it's hard to top that. And seeing some of those draft boards with him possibly sliding down to 12 or 13, that's pretty interesting to see. But I want to talk about the next guy on our list, Trey Lance, North Dakota State.
Looking right, pumps, gets away from defender. Now Lance on the run, to the 10, to the 5, he's in there! Man wide open, caught! Touchdown! Breaks a tackle, there goes Trey, in the open field, a stiff arm, 20, 10, touchdown! Trey Lance!
Only played 1 year of college football. Your thoughts?
So this is a sticky one for me because obviously I'm aware of where we are in the region of the country, in the state. I understand, I know where he's from, and obviously just being a North Dakota State guy, you feel like you got to tread lightly. Trey Lance to me is the biggest wild card when it comes to being a quarterback and being a draftee in the first round.
Okay.
Do I think that he's going to be taken in the first round? Yes, because I think the idea of a team passing on the potential is huge, and it feels like a big risk to let that slide. So I think he's going to be taken in the first round. But I truly think that he's one of these first-round draft picks that's going to have to sit at least a year. He's got a lot of development to do. And the way that they used him at North Dakota State, he was truly a dual threat type of guy. They ran the ball a lot with him.
Yeah.
When he's looking at his first read proficiency, absolutely 100% can make every throw. He makes some wild throws, he really does. But what I saw to him sometimes was the lack of reading the coverage. He would miss open receivers because he wasn't quite sure, he wasn't anticipating exactly where to throw the football, and then he would use his athleticism to get out of trouble, extend some plays, and do all that. So is he a talented guy with the right frame, the right height and weight? He has enough athleticism. I don't think he has Justin Fields' athleticism, but he's a guy to me that if you're going to draft him, I think it's best that he sits out at least a year and not be thrust into the NFL spotlight in the fishbowl to go out there and perform on a stage when I don't think he's quite ready.
Mac Jones and Trey Lance are the only 2 quarterbacks on our list that we're going to talk about today that have first round value.
Right.
So with talking about Trey Lance, if he's sliding down, if you are the Vikings and he's at the number 14 spot, where are you going? You trade him back to a team that needs a quarterback, or do you select him there?
Obviously depending on how the rest of the draft goes. So if a guy like Trey Lance and the quarterbacks, and there's not a run on quarterbacks early like maybe we think, then that means there's probably a run on offensive linemen, there's run on other positions. And so you have to evaluate, do we want one of the top premier offensive linemen, whether it's an offensive tackle, offensive guard, or a guy that played center that we think can play offensive guard? Are you really going to bypass one of those guys on a project quarterback? I don't think so. Where are the defensive ends at? I don't think that you get super cute when you see a guy like Trey Lance maybe slide down to your position. Even if you like him, I still think that there are other positions that supersede the need for a quarterback that's not going to play in 2021.
Next guy on our list, Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond wide open. Zaniah Smith looks right, goes over the middle. Touchdown, Aggies.
Former 5-star recruit coming out of high school, the number 1 dual threat in the 2017 class. A lot of scouts are projecting him to the 3rd, maybe 4th round.
Yeah.
Maybe a guy that can fit, maybe not. What's your thoughts on him?
I see an improving player.
Okay.
It's funny because you watch him when he makes plays with his legs, and it's not the fluid of movements, but it's productive. So you're like, well, he did sort of outrun that guy, and he did sort of like make that guy miss. It's not like wow athleticism, but I think he knows how to be productive. He started his career a lot with throwing the ball away, not taking care of the ball. 27 interceptions in his career, but only 3 interceptions last year. So what that tells me is he's smarter about making decisions, and he's placing the ball and being more accurate. The other thing that I saw when I turned the film on is, I think as opposed to the years in the past, he wants to be more of a passer. Like you could see in 2020, he was wanting to be more of a true passer than just, all right, if I feel a little bit of trouble and I feel a little bit of pressure, I'm going to use my legs and get out of trouble. I think he really wanted to sit in the pocket, make those reads, which he did get better at through his progressions. It just needs to be a little bit quicker and a little bit crisper. But if he's there, I would be fine taking a guy like that again, because I think he's going to learn from a super smart cerebral quarterback that wants to be a passer first in Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and like you said, Kirk Cousins, he's on our roster for the next 2 years. So granted, the quarterback competition is out of play this year. But however, there are a lot of people out there that are saying, hey, we should probably draft a quarterback, maybe 78 or 90. And Kellen Mond alongside Kyle Trask, who's our next guy on the list, those guys are going to be there in that spot. So, when you think about a guy like Kyle Trask, big guy, 6'5", I think 240. You think of a Josh Allen type of guy.
And now Trask to the end zone. Touchdown, Grimes. Trask downfield, and with that, here is Pitts. Touchdown, Gators.
Trask will try to do it himself, and he does. Touchdown, Florida.
I love him because he's fearless.
Okay.
And you watch him play, and he's a true pocket passer. He's not one of those guys that's really going to like run around and try to create some plays. And sometimes I think that's to his detriment. I think that he's got to feel the pocket a little bit more. He's not super mobile, so I think that needs to be worked on. But you want a guy that's going to throw into tight coverage. You want a guy that's going to say, hey man, I'm going to be that quote unquote gunslinger. That's Kyle Trask. And that's why it's kind of fun to watch him, because you kind of just don't know like what type of throw he's going to make. He'll see a guy in single coverage on the outside, completely covered, might even be covered by a step or two. He's still going to chuck that thing. Give him a chance. And you watch time and time again. There were times where I would just smile when I'd watch the film, because I'm like, that's a hell of a throw. Like, you just kind of like nod your head like, well, that was a gutsy throw. So I like that. I like that idea that he's willing to take chances. Sometimes it'll blow up in his face, sure. But I think you can rein that back a little bit through coaching.
I think anytime you have Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts on your team, I'm going to give him a 50-50 chance too.
Give him a chance, especially with Pitts. Like, it doesn't matter if he's a number 2, number 3, or he's the primary receiver on the outside.
There's a reason why he's probably going in the top 5. But the last guy on our list, the guy from Texas, Sam Ehlinger, gunslinger. You talk about a guy that can throw the ball around.
Ehlinger with time. And help, the pass is caught. Joshua Moore, touchdown, Texas.
Ehlinger lofts one. He's got Eagles behind the knee. Touchdown, Texas.
I think of the guys that we're talking about, he is the biggest upside of any of them. And again, we're kind of excluding Mac Jones. I think he's just in a different category. But some of these other guys that we might find in later rounds, I think that he has the most upside. He's really improved as a passer in his years at Texas. A ton of games played on a big stage. And if you want a guy that's going to throw the deep ball, this is the guy that wants to throw the deep ball. I mean, it seems like, and I don't have the exact percentage, it seems about every third throw, he's heaving that ball down the field, and he's letting her rip. So I like the fact that he uses his athleticism enough. And they did have designed quarterback run game with him. I do understand that. But I get the feeling that he does want to be a true passer as well, first and foremost. He does a good job when he's extending the plays, feeling the pocket, and still keeping his eyes down the field. Because, some of these other guys, they break the pocket and they just run. He's breaking the pocket, sliding around on the line of scrimmage to still throw the ball down the field. And I like that ability of like, hey, I'm going to let my guys go out and make the plays and get the yards after catch, not me as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of experts have him going maybe 5th or 6th round. So before we get out of here, I'll get your thoughts on this. With the quarterback situation, understanding that Kirk is here for 2 years, how imperative is it to get a guy, later in the draft, build him up maybe for the future, or somebody to develop him like a Jimmy Garoppolo type?
Well, we all know that competition is what makes everybody better, and whether you're going to compete against Kirk Cousins, and realistically, no, you're not, because you're not going to just wow everybody right away and take over his spot. But to compete at that number 2 spot, that makes everybody better. And there's not a veteran in the league that tells you that they know everything.
Right.
So some young guy from a different college system that maybe has a fresher take or a fresher look on things is going to help a guy like Kirk Cousins just see the game a little bit differently. So I think, yes, later in the rounds, I think every team, should be looking at upgrading and creating competition in the quarterback room.
Well, in order for the quarterbacks to be good, you got to have somebody to protect them. So offensive linemen are up next. Ben Leber and I will have that coming up for you next time. Thank you guys for tuning in again for another edition of the NFL Draft Prospect Profile.